Streetlights and Scriptures, Voices of Chicago. Story 4, The Cop Who Cried Mercy. The diner sat on the corner of 63rd and Pulaski, an old place with flickering neon and coffee that smelled like burnt hope and overtime. It was late, the kind of late where the streets were quiet but not safe, the city holding its breath between shifts. That's where I met Officer Eddie Morales, sitting alone in a booth, hands wrapped around a half-empty mug, eyes heavy with things he couldn't quite let go. His uniform was clean, but his soul looked worn. He nodded when I asked to sit. "You the writer?" "That's me," I said. "BJ Mayfield, thank you for your services to the community." He smiled faintly. "You picked a strange place for stories." I looked around the near-empty diner. I think God does his best work in strange places. For a moment, he just stared into his coffee, silent. Then, with a slow breath, he began. "I joined the force at 22. Thought I was gonna make a difference. Protect the city. But the city don't always want protection, and the badge don't make you righteous. It just puts a target on your back, from both sides." He rubbed his face. "Last year, I got called to a domestic. Things went south fast. Man came at me with a gun. I fired first. He didn't make it. I told myself I did what I had to, but the truth is, I couldn't sleep after that." His face, his family, the sound, it all kept coming back. I started to hate myself. Started to hate the job. And the worst part, I started to hate God. I stayed quiet, letting him breathe through the weight. He looked up finally, his eyes red. "My wife left for a few weeks. Said she couldn't watch me drown in silence anymore. I tried therapy, pills, alcohol. Nothing worked. Then one night, I found myself parked outside an old Church of Christ on 18th Street. Didn't even know why I stopped there. The lights were off, but the door was open. I went inside and sat in the back. For the first time in months, I prayed. Didn't even know what to say, just said, 'God, I don't deserve forgiveness.'" He swallowed hard. And right then, a voice came from the front. Old pastor, maybe 80 years old, sweeping the floor. He looked right at me and said, "Son, that's why it's called mercy." Eddie's voice cracked. "I broke right there, BJ. I wept like a kid. The pastor sat with me till morning, told me about James chapter 2 verse 13, 'For he shall have judgment without mercy, that hath showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiced against judgment.' He said, 'Stop judging yourself like God can't love you. You ain't the judge. You're the redeemed.' That line saved me." He leaned back, tears finally falling. Now I read that verse before every shift. I still see the faces, still feel the weight, but now I carry it to the cross instead of my chest. The streets haven't changed, but my heart has. A server refilled his coffee and walked away quietly. The hum of the city outside felt distant, like the world paused long enough for this truth to settle. Eddie wiped his face and said, "Tell them this, BJ. Tell them forgiveness ain't just for the innocent. It's for the broken too. Cops, criminals, LGBTQIA, preachers, all of us. The devil keeps whisperin' that we ain't worth it, but the blood of the risen Savior still speaks louder." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn Bible, held together with tape. "This comes with me everywhere now. Not to protect me, but to remind me I already am." As I left the diner, the wind off Lake Michigan carried the faint sound of sirens in the distance. For the first time in a long while, Eddie Morales stood, crossed himself, and whispered a prayer before stepping back into the night. Scriptural anchor. James chapter 2 verse 13, For he shall have judgment without mercy, that hath showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiced against judgment.